A lot of people know that convicts were sent from Britain and Ireland to the US before the American Revolution. That was actually one of the issues of the Revolution, when the American colonies said, we don't want those pickpockets and burglars and whoever else they were. And most people, of course, in Britain know that Australia was founded as a convict settlement in 1788. But very few people know what happened in the intervening 12 years. And what actually happened was that Britain looked for all that time for a place in West Africa to send the convicts. And it actually started sending a few hundred of them, and it sent them to the slave forts of West Africa. And to say this was a bad idea would be a gross understatement. They caused absolute havoc. They ran off to live with Africans. They deserted to the Dutch, who they were supposed to be fighting against. They generally went mad. They stole things. They did everything that you could possibly want them not to do, or everything the British authorities wanted them not to do. And even the guy who was sent out to be their captain went the craziest of all. He, I think, quite literally went mad in West Africa and ended up shooting one of them from a cannon and coming back to Britain to stand trial for that, which was when the story really became known to the British media that this was spectacular failure on a grand scale. He had actually also had an idea that he would put some of the convicts to work growing sugar and cotton on a plantation, which was, of course, contrary to everything the slave traders stood for. Their idea was that you ship them out of West Africa to the Caribbean and North America in order to grow those things. So if you start growing them in West Africa, you've completely thrown away all the ideas of the slave trade. The whole scheme was a disaster from start to finish. But they didn't give up. The British authorities were very determined. It took them a long time to give up. And they didn't give up until they'd actually looked for and decided to found a few large-scale convict colonies, one in what is now the Gambia, which they'd actually sent someone out to buy the land for, and another one in what is now the boundary between South Africa and Namibia, which they'd sent a Royal Navy ship to go and hoist the Union Jack and say, this is our territory. And it wasn't until they said that's just really not going to work, that they looked to Australia. And even then, when they sent out the first fleet to Australia, there wasn't really an idea that this was going to be it forevermore. And it was only because those first ships were so astonishingly successful that Australia is the country that it is today, and that the Gambia and Namibia are not penal colonies. The issues that I've uncovered in the book have a lot of resonance with today, where we're still discussing crime and punishment and what to do with people that commit crimes in our societies.